Well, we just had another brutal Sunday, which led to even more injuries. And since it's Monday, we actually have some updates with these. Let me give them to you. Then we'll talk about updated rankings. We'll look at some teams, make some updated trades, etc., etc. So everybody has been waiting for this blurb specifically. Anthony Richardson, who hurt his eye, practicing with some rubber bands before the game. Yes, sadly, he is going to the IR. I know this is going to derail a lot of your seasons. And rest in peace, Jonathan Taylor. Obviously a joke. Garrett Wilson underwent an MRI and appears to have avoided a serious injury, but is still going to be missing some time. So this was a little bit confusing. Got hurt at the very end of the game in London. I really didn't have a lot of clarity on this. I didn't know how we should be impacting Garrett Wilson with the rankings, but I actually did just go ahead and move him down. I'll show you later in the live stream where he actually got moved to. But with Wilson, I'd still rank him as like a high-end wide receiver 2 in the games that he's going to play going into the future. But if he's going to miss time, and I want to say this across the board with these players that are getting injured and missing time in week 6, right? You get injured in week 6. Let's take an assessment of where we are at this point in the season. How many weeks do we have until the fantasy playoffs? We have weeks 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we have 8 weeks until the fantasy playoffs. So if a player is going to miss, hypothetically, 4 games, they're missing half of the regular season from this point. Missing weeks 6 through 10 is a much larger percentage of the remaining games than when a player is set to miss weeks 1 through 4. And on top of it, since you're having to deal with the other buys, it's a very big deal if you get injured at this point of the year. And I'm going to severely cap you in the rankings. And then obviously I'll move him back up every week that goes by. But don't be surprised if you see that Garrett Wilson took a little tumble in our ranks. Deebo Samuel expected to play Monday. Good thing for everybody that was banking on Deebo. Don't care about the Tua comments, blah, blah, blah. You had the head coach in Tennessee, Brian Callahan, getting fired. The Tennessee Titans offense looked horrendous. Titans offense this season was 31st in points per game and 32nd in yards per game. Brian Callahan went 4-19 in his time with the Tennessee Titans. But let's see, JJ McCarthy will participate in practice in some capacity this week. I'm going to be honest with you. I actually thought that you actually were going to get JJ McCarthy coming back after the week 6 bye, but sounds like you may not have him. Sounds like it may be Carson Wentz still. Jalen Coker, not really close to returning. So realistically, if you had Coker, I mean, there's a good shot that you can go ahead and cut him. CeeDee Lamb has a chance to play week 7. Jonathan Mingo, do not care. This is from Adam Schefter, so there is some validity to it. And keep in mind, like, we went ahead and looked at the target distribution for the Pittsburgh Steelers this past week. It was DK Metcalf, and legitimately that is it among the wide receivers. Now, of course, you actually did have a bunch of tight ends getting involvement. You had the running backs, but it makes a lot of sense that they're going out there looking for a receiver. Don't care about the Flacco trade. Don't care about the Mike Gesicki injury. Let's see. Bengals edge trade. Hendrickson's back injury, not considered long-term, uncertain for week 7. So the Bengals defense maybe goes from the second worst in the league, only in front of the Dallas Cowboys, to now the literal worst. So play anybody against Cincinnati. The Bucs are hopeful that Mike Evans is going to return to practice this week, which is massive because the head coach already came through and said that it's not even in play for Chris Godwin or Bucky Irving to play. So I've actually already gone ahead and moved Bucky Irving even further down our rankings, because here's the assumption that I'm going to have with Bucky. If they're telling us that he's not even remotely close, if they're telling us that he doesn't have a shot to play next Monday, then why the hell would we think he plays week 8? So I'm going to assume that you don't have Bucky in week 7 because they told us he has no shot to play in week 7, that he doesn't play in week 8 because they have a week 9 bye. So I'm going to assume that we have no Godwin, that we have no Igbuka, and that you have no Bucky Irving for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the next 3 weeks. Now, again, week 9 was going to be their bye week anyway, so those players are going to miss that week regardless. So it is good timing for a Bucs team that is dealing with a multitude of injuries. If anything, you'd hope that they would have a week 7 bye. But yeah, you go ahead and I moved Bucky down and I moved Rashad White up our rankings as well. Let's see. Don't care about the Jonathan Taylor stats. So we've had conflicting reports with the Puka Nacua ankle injury. Ian Rappaport came through this morning and he said that Puka Nacua is going to miss some time. Then Sean McVay comes out and says Puka Nacua is day-to-day. Now, realistically, we go ahead and we just take a little gauge on the situation with the timeline of these injuries. And you have the week 8 bye for the Los Angeles Rams. So my assumption is going to be that Puka, they probably play it safe. I think they are playing in Europe this week. I'd imagine they tell Puka to sit this one out. That way he can just miss one game over the next 2 weeks and hopefully come back fully healthy. But yeah, I'm assuming that we don't have Puka in week 7, week 8 bye, and then you probably get him back in week 9. Don't care about the stats with Drake May. Don't care about any stats. Yeah, so Rapport said that Puka is likely to miss some time with the sprained ankle, and then McVay calls him day-to-day. I'm kind of reading this as he's probably going to miss this week, and then they're on bye next week. And I think that should be it. Oh, yeah, no, we have Rappaport also telling us that Igbukah is expected to miss some time. So like we said, I think the expectations will be that Igbukah for sure is missing week 7 and 8. Then you have the week 9 bye, and you're hoping to get him back in week 10. And let me go ahead and see, when do I have to play the team with Igbukah? I think I have to play him in week 10. And I know I have to play the team with Puka Nacua in week 9. So selfishly, I'm hoping that Puka misses another week. And yeah, I have to play the team with Igbukah in week 10. So I'm selfishly kind of hoping that Igbukah actually ends up missing until like week 11. But those are my selfish and horrible to admit out loud hopes. But I think that's all we have in terms of the injury update. So let's go ahead. Let's start looking at some updated rankings. Let's start getting to some questions. And I do want to give a massive congrats pretty much all football season. Underdog Fantasy, or at least since they dropped the $100 offer with code FLOCK. Underdog Fantasy has been at the very top of the App Store when it comes to sports apps. Like, it is legit crazy, but you currently have Underdog Fantasy number 2 in the App Store among all sports apps. This is, in my opinion, I could be wrong, I think a large reason is because you actually have the $100 offer with code FLOCK, where when you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, you get $100 added to your account. And also you'll get a gimme pick. If you sign up before the games tonight, that will be a free Jaden Daniels gimme pick, higher, lower, half a total yard. Sign up after the games tonight will be a different player for Thursday. And yeah, shout out Underdog Fantasy, absolutely crushing it. The only sponsor of this channel for the past 5 years. Underdog Fantasy is available in almost every single state. And if you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with code FLOCK, not only are you going to get $100, not only are you going to get the free pick, but you'll also get free questions that you can ask in this live stream. And I'm live streaming, answering questions every single day until Christmas. You can find that link in the live chat as well as the description. But let's go ahead. Let's check this team out for DGAD. Now, I know we had 100 likes on the stream, so we'll send out some free questions. Just 1 second. Well, we'll go through and we'll save them for when we hit 200 likes on the stream. Then we'll send out a bunch. But DGAD has started out 2-0. We're now 3-2. Points scored against is deceiving. Week 2 opponent just dropped 55 points. We traded Flyers and Coleman in week 2 for Derrick Henry. Absolutely love that. Have tight end depth after Kittle returns to use as a trade if needed. Any trades we should be looking at? Good luck on your race from a fellow ultra runner. Thank you, my friend. I really do appreciate it. And I actually, let me know what you think. Shoot me an email with this, but so I'm going to try to win that 50 miler. It's like a super small race. Like, obviously, if like any of the top runners were there, I wouldn't be able to win it. I wouldn't come close, but I'm going to try to run the 50 miler at like a 9-minute pace. And I ordered some like the Tokyo Meta, like Asics carbon plated shoes that I'm planning on wearing for the first like marathon. And I'm just going to try to bust through that marathon, bust through the first 30 miles, and then switch over to some comfy shoes and then walk the end. Not walk the end, but go much, much slower for the next like 24. But anyway, appreciate you. And you do have the number one team in this league, according to the league analyzer with the value. This has been updated with all the injuries that we've seen as of late. We are second in this league in terms of total points scored. It's an 8-team format where you only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. So if you're looking at the depth in this league, it just simply does not matter whatsoever, because you could go through and you could always pick up players like Jordan Addison, Terry McLaurin, Wan'Dale Robinson, Drake May for free. Now, dependent on what happens with Caleb Williams this week, I think I would possibly drop Caleb Williams for Drake May. Obviously, Drake May's been great. You're never playing him over Josh Allen, but Josh Allen has the week 7 bye. So it makes sense for you to roster the second quarterback right now. But with the way that Drake May is playing, I did move him ahead of Caleb Williams in our rest of season ranks. Now, going over and looking at what we have with running back, Achane, even in an 8-team league, is still an elite RB1. Still super excited to have him. Derrick Henry, solid RB2. Travis Etienne, solid RB3. Breece Hall, great RB4 in an 8-team league. Ja'Cory Cross-Garrett, great RB5, even in an 8-team format. Now, going over to what we have at wide receiver, we have Chase, Rome, Rice. So 2 great wide receiver, 1, 2. Like, this is amazing across the board. You're the number 1 team in this league at quarterback, according to the league analyzer. You're the number 1 team in this league at running back. You're the number 3 team in this league at wide receiver. And you're the number 1 team in this league at tight end. This team is incredible. Like, the only thing that I would potentially look to do at this point is, now that you're getting Rashee Rice back in, like, if you could try to flip, say, like, Mike Evans and Derrick Henry to go get an RB upgrade, sure, let's do it. If you could try to flip George Kittle and Derrick Henry to go try to get a running back upgrade, then sure, let's do it. But it's not a big thing that we have to stress about, because again, your team is great across every single position. In terms of waiver wire pivots, I realistically don't do anything. Like, these depth wide receivers aren't moving the needle in a shallower format like this. I love having the elite onesies. I love having the elite quarterback. I love having the elite tight ends in an 8-team format, which you already do. And you're great with the skill positions. So if you wanted to upgrade running back too, you can. But also, Derrick Henry's going to get better as time goes on and Lamar Jackson's healthy, which should happen coming out of the week 7 bye. But I wish I had more for you, but I think you're in a really good spot, and there's not much to discuss here, my friend. But best of luck this year, but I don't think you need it. You have the best team in your league. Now, let's move this over to Evan. Says 0-5, trying to have a turnaround. Excited to hear your advice. Traded Javonte for Derek and Terry off of a Avery suggestion. Also traded for Neighbors right before the injury, which screwed me. Appreciate your help. Appreciate you, my friend. And let's look at this. You're saying it's now or Trevor. Where, my friend, it's a 14-team format. If you lost Neighbors, I'm sorry, but it may be over. It's a 14-team league where we are 0-5 coming into this game. And you are second to last according to the league analyzer in value, and you lost Malik Neighbors. 14-team league. It is just extremely difficult for you to be able to come through and for you to be able to overcome an injury like Malik Neighbors going down. Now, quarterback, we have the combo of Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence. Realistically, 14-team format. Completely agree. You want to roster 2 QBs. If you were to get an injury to Herbert, you'd be screwed. So, yeah, we're fine rostering 2. You're probably starting Justin Herbert every week, but obviously you're not super, super excited about this. Now, going over and looking at what we have at running back. We have Derrick Henry, RB1. Solid in a 14-team format. It's been disgusting because of the Lamar injury, but he's going to be getting better. Now, we have Jalen Warren, Miller, and Bam Knight. So, the running back depth is acceptable, but it's not strong. Going over to wide receiver, we have Tedero McMillan, we have Terry McLaurin, we have T. Higgins. So wide receiver is acceptable in a 14-team format, but it's not strong. And then looking at tight ends, we have Darren Waller and Juwan Johnson. So, like, obviously, we're more excited about Darren Waller. The Juwan Johnson usage is going down like a rock now that all these other players are back. I'm sorry, my guy. You are not good at a single position here. Realistically speaking, you have no expendable pieces that we could very easily just go through and trade and just get an upgrade elsewhere. Really, the only thing that I think we could make an argument doing is us going ahead, us making pivots off the waiver wire, because again, I don't see like where the expendable value comes from. So, like, in terms of waivers, I would drop Torrey Horton. Now I'd pick up Travis Hunter. Now, obviously, I'd cut Christian Watson, but I'm assuming Christian Watson's on your IR. So, realistically, he's not taking up a roster spot. But honestly, I would cut Christian Watson. I'd pick up Brandon Ayuk anyway and throw him on the IR. So, cut Torrey Horton, then move Christian Watson from the IR to your bench, cut him, pick up Brandon Ayuk, move him to your IR with the open roster spot, pick up Travis Hunter. I would cut Juwan Johnson, and you can either pick up a second tight end if you want with Gadsden, or you can go ahead and pick up another running back that's an injury away from potentially turning into a league winner, which is kind of like the only way that this team gets saved realistically is if you hit on the next Rico Dowdle. Like, your hope was finding Rico Dowdle off the waiver wire and then all of a sudden having a legit running back one every single week that you got for free. Outside of that one thing, it's just going to be tough here. Now, I will say, like, realistically, considering the fact that you are 0-5, you have such a bad record, I would go ahead. I mean, if you could sell Terry McLaurin and get literally anything in return for short-term production, like, anytime you have such a bad record, what you're needing to do is you're needing to sell the short-term production to get long-term value. But I think that's all I got for you, my friend. I wish I had more, but like, you don't have any expendable value that you can trade and say, oh yeah, we have this backup tight end. Let's go through and let's trade him and get an upgrade else. Like, what piece could you trade and get value for? Like, Terry McLaurin really could probably be it. Now, let's move this over to our next question. This is from Mr. Filthy Wubs. Always happy to see you. It says 3-2. We traded Bowers, Keenan, Waller for McBride and Higgins. Looking great. Also traded Worthy and Sharp for Sutton. Now that Rice coming back, looking good. I know Sutton had a dud performance, but still I think it's going to be fine. I'm thinking the next move I make is quarterback upgrade in a 2-for-1 deal, but everyone's being stingy, or should we look to upgrade somewhere else? Bucky also isn't eligible for the IR. So here's the thing, man. You're playing in a 10-team league, right? So in terms of depth, it's not the most important thing in the world. Like, you should be able to get some players off waivers. But at the same time, it's a start 9 format. So I'm going to assume that this is a league in which you're starting like 3 wide receivers and 2 flex spots every week. And it's a full PPR league as well. So if we look at this, like, you can go through and you can start 5 wide receivers weekly. In your starting lineup, you have Justin Jefferson, normally, right, when they're healthy, Egbuka, Sutton, and then Metcalf, Michael Pittman. We have the elite tight ends with Trey McBride. But because you have the injuries to both Bucky Irving as well as Egbuka, where it looks like they have no shot to play in week 7, and because they have the week 9 bye, I'm assuming they're not playing in week 8 either, and then they're not going to play week 9. Since you don't have Bucky Irving and you don't have Egbuka until effectively week 10, I don't think you can go through and you can afford to trade for a QB upgrade. Like, if you're going to be trading for a QB upgrade, realistically, you need to have the expendable wide receiver that you can sell, no problem, no harm, no foul. Where is that coming from on this team? I can't tell you. Because you have to start 9 players weekly, and based off how damn good Baker Mayfield looks, realistically, what I'm probably going to do here is I'm just going to maybe pick up another quarterback to play the matchups with in the short term. And then once Baker gets all these weapons, like look at what Baker's doing every single week. The dude has nobody, yet he's still out here 19.6, 26.7, 18.9, 17.7, 19.9, 22.6. His worst game this year, he's given you 17.5 points. Imagine when he gets Evans, Godwin, Igbuka, Bucky all playing. So I think you're cool rolling with Baker. Your team was 3-2 coming into this week. I know we had the Sutton dud. We had the Igbuka dud. Metcalf went off, though. Pittman had a dud. Realistically, there's a good shot that your team lost, depending on who we played. I mean, we had some performers, right? I mean, we had Trey McBride go nuts. But if we were looking at what we could do realistically here, I think you just wait until the injured players come back healthy. And then maybe at that point, if you wanted to make a play to go and get like a improvement at wide receiver for the flex, sure, let's do it. For me, I would drop Michael Carter for Bam Knight at this point. I know they split the backfield pretty much 50-50, so I'm not going to fault you if you didn't want to do it. But yeah, I think you just got to wait until your players come back healthy. And you have a good enough team where it's not that big of an issue. But again, it's a team where depth matters a decent amount. But real quick, let's go ahead. Let's send out some free questions to people in the chat. We just hit 200 likes on this stream. As y'all can tell, I live stream for hours and hours and hours and hours every single day. Will not miss a single day answering your free questions. All you got to do to qualify to win free questions in this stream will be drop a like on the live stream and then drop your flockfantasy.com username in the live chat. And then also with that as well, I will say that you can get guaranteed free questions by taking advantage of the offer that we have on Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has been blowing up to just a completely different level. They've pretty much been all football season the second leading app on the sports app store. And I think a big reason for this is the new user offer they are running is better than anything else you're going to find. After you play your first $5 with code FLOCK, you are going to get $100 out of your account. Plus, you'll get free questions that you can ask in these live streams. Plus, you'll get a free Jaden Daniels gimme pick for tonight's game, higher, lower, half a total yard. Underdog Fantasy is available in almost every single state, and you can find that link in the description as well as the live chat. But let me go ahead and send out some free questions to the people in the chat. We'll get this first one going over to Heavenly Section. Appreciate you, my friend. And let me see if I can find you on the site to send you over a trade question. So Heavenly Section just found you and just sent you over a free trade question. Thank you so much for hanging out with us in the live stream. And let's find somebody else here. We got Jimmy Olison, something like this. Jimmy Olison. Just found you, just sent you over a free trade question as well. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us in this live stream. Now, let's move this over to our next question. This is going to come from Eula. It says, good evening, Mason. Hope you're having a great week. I'm going to pickle at 1-4, and I traded Scat for Brees. Okay. I would have done the same thing. Now, I had Scattaboo on my team, and before this Thursday game, I would have been happy to send him over for Brees Hall. Obviously, does not look like a great call at this point. Obviously, it looks like at this, it's a tough call. And you're hoping that Brees gets dealt outside of New York. Now, says, and I don't know how I feel about it now. Is there anything you think I can do to elevate my chances of winning in the playoff situation? Thanks, brother. So I will say, if you were 1-4 coming into this week and we started Brees, or you traded Scat, but I'm assuming Yeah, so we're going to get Brees on our team after the week's over. So maybe you started Scat this week, but you started Pickens for sure, right? So if you started Pickens, you may be in a spot where you're 2-4, but kind of regardless of if you're 2-4, regardless of if you are 1-5, the position you find yourself in is not one of let's think about our playoff upside. It's let's think about how I win in week 7. If you're 2-4, 1-5, your focus should be just getting to the playoffs, because at this point, getting to the playoffs will be a win for you. Now, looking at what we have at quarterback, we have an elite QB with Jalen Hurts. Now, I did go ahead. I moved him below some of the other quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, like Lamar Jackson, now that it looks like Lamar is much closer to returning. But he's still a solid QB, even in an 8-team format. We are completely fine with it. Now, going over and looking at what we have at running back, we have Josh Jacobs. I have him as the RB1 on my team. Obviously, I'm excited about it, but I'm definitely more excited about it in an 8-team format as opposed to a 12-team format as opposed to an 8-team league. Now, we have Ashton Jeanty RB2. Happy about it regardless of our league settings. And then we traded Scat for Brees. So if Brees is your RB3, it's going to be fine. I would say we are hoping that he ends up getting dealt anywhere else other than the freaking Jets. Then going over, we have Bam Knight, Jaden Blue as our last option. I think Jaden Blue is a sneaky pickup as a handcuff to Javonte Williams for deeper leagues like 12-team formats. My thing will be here, since you're in an 8-team league, you're just going to have better options on the waiver wire, I'd assume. I'll go ahead and I'll drop Jaden Blue for either Kamani Vidal or Woody Marks. It's also a league in which you only start 2 receivers in a flex. So an 8-team format where you only start 2 receivers in a flex, you have to go through and you have to cut Romeo Doubs and pick up one of these running backs like Woody Marks, right? You have to get somebody that has the upside to turn into a starting RB that we could actually project to put in our lineup. Because how the hell are you ever going to know when to start Romeo Doubs? Now, again, going back to what we were talking about with you being either a 1-5 team or a 2-4 team, and it's about the same regardless. What you need to do here is you need to look to sell some of these injured names. So we have CeeDee Lamb injured. And we have Mike Evans injured at wide receiver. And now we just possibly lost Garrett Wilson, who we moved down to our wide receiver 19. So what I think you need to do is, it seems like you could end up getting CeeDee Lamb back this week. But I think that you're going to have to go through and you're going to have to actually look at selling Mike Evans. Look at selling Garrett Wilson. And just go and package them together to get the best short-term option that you possibly can of somebody that we can put in our starting lineup and that will be excited to start. Because realistically, that's the only thing that's going to matter here. And then tight end, obviously, we are chilling with Jake Ferguson. But I think that's all I got for you. I'd make those waiver wire pivots, cut Jaden Blue, cut Romeo Doubs, pick up Vidal, pick up Woody Marks. I would then go ahead and try to sell Garrett Wilson and Mike Evans for the best player that you could possibly get to throw in your flex spot. I really don't care if this is a situation where like you're selling for 90% of their value or whatever it is. I don't care if you're selling for a running back or wide receiver, just need points in your lineup. And Teresa, this is the correct team. But I think that's all I got for you. I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way. Now, let's move this over to Warington. Says, what are your thoughts? This is a 12-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So the waiver wire is not going to be loaded, but depth's not going to matter too much. Looking at what we have in terms of the positional value, because it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, I would love having an elite quarterback. I would love having an elite tight ends. And we have Lamar Jackson here. So obviously we are really excited about sticking with Lamar. We're going to get him back soon, assuming he comes back right after the bye. And looking at what this team probably started this week, there's a chance that we're 5-1. Now, if we're 4-2 or 5-1, it doesn't really change much. Kind of regardless, our play is we're going through and we're thinking about long-term upside, not just short-term production. And I think you have no Lamar Jackson for the week 7 bye. Then week 8, he's going to come back. But he was missing week 7 regardless if he was hurt or not, right? So quarterback, we're going to be just fine. In terms of streaming quarterbacks this next week, Bryce Young's matchup is going to be against the Jets. Dart is going up against Denver. Stroud, coming off the bye, is going up against Seattle. Michael Penix is going up against San Francisco. It doesn't look like there are too many super exciting streamers, but you'll figure it out. Going over to running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Javonte Williams. So we have 3 hammers that we can start every single week. And again, I understand that, yes, Jaden Blue is an interesting handcuff now to Javonte, given the injury that you have to Miles Sanders. But for me, I'd probably prefer Byshell Tootin, just looking at the talent profiles between the 2 running backs. Now, going over to wide receiver, we have Justin Jefferson, Quentin Johnston, Jamison Williams. So the Quentin Johnston hamstring negatively impacting us, but it's not like we are struggling too much because it's a league in which you only have to start 2 receivers in a flex. And again, we have Javonte that we can throw in that flex spot. We have the anchor wide receiver with Justin Jefferson as well. And we're either 5-1 or 4-2. So realistically, we can't afford to just kind of wait until Quentin Johnston comes back and our wide receiver position is just fine. I would say I see no upside whatsoever with Malik Washington. I would go ahead. I would cut Malik Washington, who this season hasn't had a game with 10 plus fantasy points. Looks like his career high is 10.2 fantasy points in a single game. So I don't know what we're doing here. I would cut Malik Washington. I would rather have Brandon Ayuk. I'd rather have Alec Aoman, or I'd rather have Darnell Mooney. And then we have the top end tight end with Tucker Kraft already through his bye week. So realistically, I love your team. You're either a 5-1 after this week, or you're going to be 4-2. You're second in this league when it comes to value, according to the league analyzer. So I would just kind of chill with this as is, outside of maybe making those 2 waiver wire pivots. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. Ryan says, how do I link my ESPN team to flockfantasy.com? ESPN's a little bit more difficult than the other ones. I would just recommend doing it on desktop, and I'd recommend using a browser other than Safari. So if you go on the desktop, if you use like Google Chrome, all you're going to do is open flockfantasy.com on one window, open up ESPN on the other window, then hit Get Extension, which you'll see right where it's labeled, of course. You open the extension, you hit Sync, and then it will pull your ESPN credentials into flockfantasy.com. It will link, and then it will automatically do it for you for the rest of the time, where you can access it on any device, no problems. So should be pretty simple after you do it that first time, but the first time is a little annoying. Okay. Now, Scattered Dice says, this is my first time ever playing fantasy football, my first time following the NFL since 2017. Everything feels new to me. Some of the trades have been Chase Brown for McMillan, Robinson, plus Pearsall for Achane, Williams and Connor for Jamar. Any thoughts would be a big help. Well, I think you're crushing the trade so far, it sounds like. And on top of that, it looks like you have the best team in your league. We are 4-1 coming into this week. We're right here with the juggernaut with that other squad for the most value. It's an 8-team league where you only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. So I will say, in general, with your league settings, an 8-team format where you only start 2 receivers and a flex, you are always going to be able to go to the waiver wire and pick up somebody interesting. So what we're going to need is we're going to need us to make as many 2-for-1 deals and as many 3-for-1 deals as we possibly can. So if you could go through and if you could make more trades where you were sending like Tet McMillan and Bucky Irving and getting an elite running back, let's run it. Especially knowing that you have JSN, Jefferson, Chase that we can throw into the wide receivers and flex spots every single week. Like, this is a phenomenal team. Then going over and looking at what we have when it comes to positions, we have Lamar and Drake May. I'm super excited about having Lamar Jackson, of course, for the future. And then with Drake May specifically, like, he's a solid play for this week. And then obviously he looks incredible from a real life perspective. And he's going to be able to run the ball a bit as well. So from a fantasy perspective, he's extremely solid. Now going over and looking at what we have when it comes to tight ends, we have Tyler Warren, George Kittle. So we have 2 elite level tight ends once Kittle is playing. And then trying to focus in on what we can do afterwards. Like, I think waiver wire pivots that I'd be interested in, since it's an 8-team format with only 2 wide receivers and a flex, where we're starting the receivers in the flex kind of regardless with how good this team is. What I would realistically do is I'd probably go ahead and I would cut like Trey Benson. I would cut Michael Carter, and I would pick up the upside shot of like Trevion Henderson. I would like picking up Matthew Golden, but realistically, like, you just simply don't need to pick up the wide receiver in your kind of format. Are there any other compelling running backs off waivers? There's Zach Charbonnet. So my thing is, like, in an 8-team league like this, you're never starting Michael Carter. Like, he just doesn't have the upside to make your lineup the way you would in a 12-team format. So I would also cut Michael Carter and I'd pick up Zach Charbonnet, because if Kenneth Walker were to get injured or traded, then all of a sudden he actually does turn into a league winner. So I would cut Benson, I would cut Carter, I'd pick up Henderson, I'd pick up Charbonnet, I'd try to make as many 2-for-1 deals as you possibly could. But realistically speaking, man, you are already absolutely crushing this to the extent that I don't think you have to do anything, and you kind of know what you're already doing. You have a phenomenal team in. It does blow my mind to hear somebody say that they haven't followed the NFL since 2017. I'm like, then what the, like, my life is so centered around this. My mind goes like, well, what the hell have you been doing for the past decade if you're not following the NFL, you know? Kevin says Louisiana don't have Flock Fantasy. Louisiana does have flockfantasy.com. Every single corner of the planet outside of maybe China has flockfantasy.com. It doesn't. Louisiana is one of the, I think, 6 or 7 states that Underdog Fantasy is not in, though. Okay. Now, Tommy Gunz says, hey, Mason, love you in the channel, big dog. Was just wondering if I should trade now and maybe get rid of Kamara and Marvin Harrison Jr. for a better running back. I won this league last year with your help, so I appreciate all the advice, brother. I appreciate you as well, my friend. And before we look at the team, I hope that you were able to sell Marvin Harrison Jr. and Alvin Kamara, because obviously now, after what we've had with the Marvin Harrison Jr. injury, it's going to be even tougher to sell him. Okay. Now, looking at the team, we are currently 5-0. Not only are we 5-0, but we have the number 1 team according to the league analyzer. So quarterback, we have Mahomes, who just goes nuclear yet again. We've moved Patrick Mahomes up to the quarterback 3 in our rest of season rankings. In reality, Patrick Mahomes right now is the QB1 in points per game. He has been incredible, and he is really helping my Underdog best ball team. So I want to give you a massive thank you, Mr. Mahomes. Now, looking at Running back, we have CMC, Alvin Kamara. So we have the elite RB1. We have the RB2 that we can play that we're not as excited about, but it'll be doable. And then we have the long-term upside with Trevion Henderson. And on a team that's either 5-1 or 6 and I'm sorry, it's either 5-1 or 6-0. You'll like to see it. Going over to wide receiver, we have Puka Nacua, Romadunze. So we lose Puka, we lose Marv, we lose Godwin. So I would typically say a couple different things. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format where you're either 5-1, 6-0. We're not wanting to make trades for the short term. We're not wanting to make trades to cover injuries. Like really, you just want to go ahead and roll with the punches and just make sure that we are continuing to go for the long-term upside because you are a team that should be thinking about the fantasy football playoff ceiling. However, if you have 3 of these injuries at the same time, then all of a sudden I actually think that you should be looking to potentially go ahead and sell one of these receivers or maybe go to the waiver wire instead. And then tight end, we have Sam Laporta, which obviously actually has looked decent. Laporta has had that consistent target floor every single week this year. Like he is averaging close to 5.5 targets a game this season. Yeah, exactly 5.5 targets per contest, which is higher than what he had last season. We had back-to-back games with receiving touchdowns. So realistically looking at this, I probably need to go ahead and I need to move Sam Laporta up my rest of season ranks. So you just have to kind of survive until you are able to get back these injured wide receivers. Now, there are a couple different ways that you can do this. If you wanted to just trade one of these injured wide receivers like Marvin Harrison with Alvin Kamara in a 2-for-1 deal to go get the running back upgrade, I really do like that idea. And then what you could do is with the open roster spot, you can just go ahead and you can pick up Wan'Dale Robinson for free and have a wide receiver that is playable. The alternative that you can look at is you could also look at just cutting like the handcuff running back with Brian Robinson, which is typically not something I want to do. Typically, we actually like the idea of holding on to the elites wide receivers such as, elite handcuffs in a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league where the wide receiver depth's not going to matter. But here, I think cutting Brian Robinson, picking up Wan'Dale's going to help you stay live until you get Puka Nacua, until you get Marv, until you get Godwin back in. So you're now on the defensive, just trying to stay afloat until your injured players come back. But I don't want to be making too many trades because in the long term, this is a league in which the depth's not going to matter much. And for the fantasy playoffs, you will get Puka Nacua as well as McCaffrey back eventually. But I think that's all I got for you. I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out. But you have the best team in this league. You just got to find a way to get through these injuries. Okay. Now, I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. Now, Jay Gonzalez with our next team says 1-4, projected to go 1-5. I lost Malik Neighbors and not sure where to go from here. My league mates generally don't trade, but I need help getting out of this hole. Any thoughts on what I should do? Also, J-Mo or Haskins in the flex. I'm sorry, my friend, if you send me a team review Sunday morning, I'm not going to be able to get to the team review on Sunday morning. Typically, it will be the following day. I would have told you Haskins probably, which would have been the wrong call. I already submitted a start set, but forgot to mention I'm down by 20. Okay, so if you submitted a start set, we probably answered it anyway. But we are the 4th team in the league analyzer. Coming into this, we had scored the 7th most points in this league. So you had been a really unlucky 1-4. And kind of regardless of if you're 1-5, regardless of if you are 2-4, we do need to be thinking about our team under the situation or the context of How do we have the production transition from long-term value to inside the starting lineup right this second? That is our biggest priority here. And no way did Kincaid really get ruled out. Oh, crap. I'm going to go pick up a... I got to get to this real quick. Okay. Did Puka really get... Yeah, Kincaid's out. I'm assuming Dawson Knox is the pickup. I guess you could, in my league, you could go Cole Kmet. You could go Dawson Knox. I'm going to text the guy playing the Kincaid team. Actually, never mind. I think the team that has Kincaid in my league has a backup. Okay. Yeah, so the team that has Kincaid in my league has Kyle Pitts instead. So yeah, all of a sudden it actually looks like it's interesting. So Mr. Nice Guy says Bucky has a midfoot sprain. That's not good, especially for a running back. Probably going to linger all year. He was also, quote unquote, gathering medical opinions because the first doctor recommended surgery, is my opinion. Yeah, so my thing with Bucky is I think there's no shot we see him over the next 3 weeks. Best case scenario, I think you're getting Bucky Irving back in week 10. Again, week 9 bye, and he's already been ruled out for week 7, like 8 days before. Okay. Now, yeah, we got to go back to this team. We haven't even talked about this team yet. But real quick, I did see that we had 300 likes on this stream. So let's go ahead and let's send out some more free questions in the chat. Again, I want to reiterate, y'all can see that I spend God knows how much time every single day answering these free questions. I'm going to do this every single day until Christmas. All you got to do to qualify to win free questions, it's simple. Just go down to the chat, drop a like, and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. That way, if you win, I know who to send the free question over to. And also, you can get guaranteed free questions by taking advantage of the offer on Underdog Fantasy, where if you go over to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, you will get $100 out of your account after you play your first 5. This is the best offer that Underdog has ever done. They've done it for about 2 weeks now. So the past 2 weeks, they've actually been at the very top of all sports apps on the App Store. This is iOS. And on top of that, with code FLOCK, you will get a free Jaden Daniels pick, higher, lower, half a total yard for tonight's game. And you'll get free questions for the live streams that we're doing every single day until Christmas. You can find that link in the description, as well as the live chat. Underdog Fantasy is available in almost every state. But let me pick out somebody in the chat real quick to send over some free questions to. We got X-Ray0118. Appreciate you hanging out with us here, my friend. Let me send you over some free questions. And X-Ray0118 just found you and just sent you over that free start sit question. Again, appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream. And let's send this other one over to Upslash. Just found you. Just sent you over that free start set question. Appreciate you hanging out with us in this stream. Okay. Now let's finally check this out to Jay Gonzalez. Quarterback, we have Hurts and Fields. Realistically, I'm fine rostering both QBs here. I think Jalen Hurts has the week 9 bye. So hopefully by that point, Justin Fields is still the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. And hopefully by that point, you have Garrett Wilson back in. Now, going over and looking at what we have at running back, we have Javonte, solid RB1, not great, but okay. We have Kenneth Walker, really bad RB2. Jalen Warren, it'd be a bad RB2, but a great RB3. Then we have Bam Knight, quality RB depth piece. Trey Benson for long-term upside. So running back, I don't love. Wide receiver, we have Nico, Rome, Devonta Smith. It's a league in which you can start up to 8 skill positional guys weekly. Tight end, we have Tucker Kraft, Mason Taylor. So here's the thing. The skill positional player is going to matter. It's a start 8 format, so you can start up to a combined 6 running backs and receivers every week. So with that context, like, it's not super easy to make 2-for-1 deals where we're not that excited about the players that we have in the flex right now. So what we're having to do at this point is we are having to go through and find a way that we can upgrade the flex without selling depth. And if we're not going to sell depth, how can we upgrade the flex spot? There's really only one option. And that one option is plays off the waiver wire. So if I'm looking at what we have on waivers, like, you're trying to find running backs that are an injury away from making a difference. There aren't many here, to be honest. Like, you have Tyrone Tracy, Tajay Spears, Dermicado. Like, who are we excited about in that instance? Nobody. So what I would probably be looking to do in this instance is maybe you find somebody else off the waiver wire that turns into an every week starter that we can sell for an improvement at a flex, which I just don't think you really have much expendable value when it comes to these bench assets. So what I would probably do here to keep it simple is I think I would cut Mason Taylor and I would pick up Harold Fannin. Cut Taylor, pick up Fannin, and then afterwards, I really don't know what else I could say that you could do with this team. Like, I think you're probably just kind of leaving it as is. I wouldn't cut Fields just yet. Like, your best option off waivers would be like Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix. I don't think you have the expendable depth value. I know we had Kenneth Walker as a sell high candidate last week. I don't see a world in which you can sell Walker. I mean, if you think Tyrone Tracy has a higher ceiling, then at that point, maybe you go through and maybe you cut like Ollie Gordon and pick up Tyrone Tracy if you think Cam Scadaboo is going to get hurt. I really hope that doesn't happen. I'm relying on him on my own team. But I think that's honestly maybe a little bit marginal. Give me 1 second. But yeah, I wish I had more for you, Jay Gonzalez, but I think your team just is really suffering from the Malik Neighbors injury, and I don't think it's a super easy fix. But let me move this over to our next team. This is going to be J. Daniels Whiskey. So starting off strong in this league, just has had the deal of a lifetime to get Daniels for 2 firsts and a second. Oh, and a 12-team super flex start 9 dynasty league. That is phenomenal. Don't know what to do with the excess quarterback. So we look at your value on your team. You are off the chart when it comes to QB value. Like, just your quarterback room is maybe more valuable than the rest of like the teams of weeks. I mean, 12 through 9, according to the league analyzer. Us having Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, Jackson Dart, phenomenal. This is a team in which we are very much incentivized to play for the short term rather than the long term, because we've sold our 2026 first and we've sold our 2027 rookie first. So for that reason, if we go through and we look at assets that are maybe more exciting in the long term than they would be in the short term, I think that we could go through and we could actually look at throwing Jackson Dart on the trade block. So if we're looking at selling Jackson Dart, I think it could be a very easy play for we go and get an additional running back piece as we wait for Amari Hampton to return. There should be teams that are very excited to trade for Dart, just given if they're rebuilding. Like this team here, right? They have a bunch of future first-round picks. They only have Bo Nix. If I was a rebuilding team, I'd really like to trade for Jackson Dart right now. Is there a world in which we could send them Jackson Dart and get back some combination of Trevion Henderson? And I would want more than Henderson. I'm trying to look at what else we could get. You have plenty of tight end production. If you could sell Dart for Trevion in a future first so we can flip that first for something else, I would do so in a heartbeat. Looking over to this team that's 1-4, if you wanted to flip them, Jackson Dart, and possibly move over and get Quinshon Judkins and Cam Scatteraboo, I think that could be very interesting to build out our running back depth, including maybe sending them over a future second and third. So if you could go Dart, a future second and a third for Judkins and Scat, it would give them that long-term upside. It would give them a bad enough running back room where they're pretty much guaranteed to earn the 101 next year. This team's 3-2. Even if they haven't scored any points, they're probably looking to just ride it out. This team is currently 1-4. Their quarterback position is in shambles this week. They started Michael Penix and Jacoby Brissett. If you wanted to offer them Jackson Dart for some combination of like, I mean, we're not going to get to Jahmyr Gibbs, which sucks. Maybe if you wanted to try to get Ladd McConkey, send like Dart and see if we can get Ladd and Alvin Kamara and just build out your skill positions, because you are also elite at tight end. You have a phenomenal team. If there's anything that this team needs to do is just build out that running back depth, considering what we have with the Amari and Hampton injury. But I wish I had more for you, my friend. But yeah, I mean, you absolutely robbed Jaden Daniels. That gives you a lot of flexibility to sell Dart to a rebuilder. And that's what I'm going to be looking at here. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this. And yeah, congrats on that phenomenal trade, my guy. Now, let's move this over for Bubby Long. Is asking for a start set. I'm assuming you did this after the noon games, my friend. So I'm going to go ahead and send you over a free start set question. Yeah, if you ask me a question at like 1:01 Eastern, right after kickoff, my live stream's over, my friend. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and let's click on a couple names here. But I sent you over that free start set question in case you want to submit one next week. And then we'll do the same thing with Peep My Willie. We'll send you over a free start set question in case you want to send one over next week. Now, let's look at this for O3J Conk. Says, seems like my luck has run out, Mason. 5-1, but oof. Quarterback room is atrocious. Wondering which running back / wide receivers to start weekly. Haven't put up 130 yet. Feel like we need to make moves. Appreciate you as always. Appreciate you, my friends. Let's go ahead and let's dive into this. So we are the Sacramento Crushers. We are 5-1. We had scored. Oh, okay. You are the luckiest mofo I've ever seen, my friend. We were the 8th team in points scored coming into this week. However, we were 5-0. Dead last in points against by a country mile. Sometimes it is better to be lucky than it is to be good. Now, I'll say that benches look very deep in this league. So it is going to be interesting here because you're rostering like 8 running backs and 8 wide receivers with 3 QBs. Now, I understand why we had 3 quarterbacks, right? You had Stroud on bye. You had Kyler Murray also. Injured. He's probably going to miss this next week too. I think what I would probably do here is cut Bryce Young. I know we like the matchup against the Dallas Cowboys this past week. It's not going to be that way forever. And if you could cut Bryce Young and pick up like an upside running back like Bam Knight, I would look to make that play. Looking at running back, we have Derrick Henry, Judkins, ETN. It's a start 8 format, so we can get a decent amount of these running backs in there. We have Jalen Warren as our RB4, Chubb RB5. Then we have the handcuff. So here's the thing. Even if Derrick Henry goes down, Justice Hill's not startable. I drafted Justice Hill in a lot of best ball drafts because I think that you are going to have some random big spike weeks. But realistically, it's going to be difficult for us to go through and for us to ever know when they are coming. This is a running back that so far this year is 15 carries and 23 targets. Even if Derrick Henry were to get injured, he's not startable. There's no upside for it. So, cut Justice Hill. We'll see what Kyle Monangai does tonight. But I would cut Justice Hill. I'd pick up Bam Knight, cut Bryce Young, pick up Trevor Lawrence. Wide receiver, we have Nico, London, Debo, Sutton, Jamo, Downs, Coker, Christian Watson. I would probably cut Jalen Coker if he's not on your IR. And I would go ahead and I would want to be picking up somebody like Gadsden, who is expanding his role in Los Angeles with the hope that you could possibly trade him for more later. And then in terms of trades, if you could find a team that's extremely down bad at running back with injuries and ship them over a running back depth piece like Jalen Warren, I'd want to. Like, this team has the Amari Hampton and the Trey Benson injuries. They are like toast at running back. If you could send them like Travis Etienne and Cortland Sutton to get to Rashee Rice, Rome Odunze, or Justin Jefferson, like I would go for it in a heartbeat. Because while, yeah, it's a start 8 format, you still have so much depth at those two positions that realistically you could make that swap pretty easily. This team has Dowdle saving them for the time being, but I mean, I would still offer them another running back, see what they have to say. If you wanted to try to flip them, say like Travis Etienne and Cortland Sutton and go and get Amon-Ra St. Brown, I would absolutely love to make that pivot. Judkins and Sutton to go get St. Brown. Judkins and Debo to go get St. Brown. This team has the Hubbard injury. They're starting like Zach Charbonnet at the moment. If you wanted to try to flip them, I mean, you can trade for Ibuka. Like if you wanted to try to send them Travis Etienne, and go get Ibuka straight up, like let's run it, because you're 5-1, so we can afford him to miss the next 3-4 weeks and we'll be just fine. But I think that's all I have for you. I really appreciate you and I'm really rooting for you, my guy, but I'd be trying to sell a depth running back if you can, and I'd make those small waiver wire pivots, but I think you have a good situation just because our record is so damn strong. Now let's move this over to our next team that's going to be Big Ben's Bathroom Break. Says, what do you think of the roster? I'm 6-0 in my 12-team league. No, it's not a Mickey Mouse league. I just played it well. So, one, if you're 6-0, Two, if you are running away with league value like this, you are in a great spot. Noah, Kittle's not back this week. Kittle's back at practice this week. So hopefully Kittle is back this week, but no guarantee. Now, this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. So the elite quarterback and the elite tight end both matter a lot. We have Lamar Jackson for the long term here. I would say at this point, you can just start Caleb Williams week 7, have Lamar Jackson good to go in week 8. I'm sorry. Yeah, have Lamar good to go week 8. So I would cut Justin Fields. I would pick up Miller here and just see if you end up getting a Kamara trade, see if you get a Kamara injury. Then running back, we have Taylor and Cook. So we're just slamming our league mates at RB. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. So the wide receiver depth's not going to be super, super important. We have JSN. We have Justin Jefferson. We have Rome Odunze. Going over to tight end, I would cut AJ Barner. I'd pick up Evan Ingram. And then after that, I mean, you clearly have the best team in the league, and it's not even remotely close. Since it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, like I would say the biggest issue with our team is probably the depth not being great. But realistically speaking, it doesn't matter because the league settings. So I would just simply cut Fields, pick up Miller, cut Barner, pick up Ingram. If Christian Watson was on your actual roster and not your IR, I would cut Christian Watson in favor of probably Byshell Tootin. In the instance you get an injury to ETN, he could become a league winner. But yeah, I mean, you have an insane team where if we were to redraft today, you possibly have 4 of the first round picks, which is just insane to think about. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. But the reality is you should be helping me with my team. I should not be helping you with yours. Now let's move this over to our next question. This is going to be thus be Aaron, but it does look like we just hit 400 likes on the stream. So let's go ahead and let's send out some more free questions. Again, you can tell that I spend hours and hours and hours every single day answering these free questions. If you wanted to qualify to win them, all you got to do is go down there and drop a like on the live stream and then drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. That way, if you win it, I know who to send those free questions over to. And with that in mind as well, if you wanted to get guaranteed free questions, you could always take advantage of the offer that we have on Underdog Fantasy, where if you go over to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, you will get the best new user offer that they have had in the 5 years that I've been working with them, which is $100 added to your account after you play your first 5. And on top of that, you'll get a free pick, Jaden Daniels, higher, lower, half a total yard. And the reason, I mean, I think in my opinion, this is the reason why Underdog is at the top of the App Store among all sports apps. And it's been this way pretty much all football season, because these are the best offers you're going to find. You get both of them with code FLOCK, and you get free questions to ask in the live streams that I'm streaming every single day until Christmas. And Underdog Fantasy is available in almost every single state. You can find that link in the description as well as the live chat. But let's send this free question out to Smokin' Herb. Smokin' Herb, just found you on the site, just sent you over a free trade question. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream. Let's send out another free question. It's going to be G-Man Plants. Just found you, just sent you over a free start set question. Again, I really appreciate you hanging out with us in this stream. Now, let's dive into this team for thus be Aaron. Noah says Shefty on Wilson news expected to be back in 3 weeks after the bye. So yeah, I don't think we need to move Wilson lower than wide receiver 19 if that's the case. Okay. But yeah, so it does look like Garrett Wilson's going to be missing the next couple of weeks, kind of regardless. Okay. Now, started off the season 2-0 and have lost out since. Lamar got hurt and is on bye next week. So, but Lamar should be good to go week 8, right? You're going to be missing Lamar next week, kind of regardless. I'm in win now mode. Need to make sure we can make some moves. Any suggestions? I do have a Lamar Mahomes straight across deal. So here's the thing with that. If you operate under the assumption that Lamar Jackson's going to be good to go after the week 7 bye, that he's going to be good to go in week 8, Mahomes has the week 10 bye. So you're going to be getting the same amount of games played from Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson rest of season. Now, Mahomes is the QB1 in fantasy at this point. And obviously, Lamar still does have some injury risk where it's not a guarantee that he is back, right? So if you wanted to go ahead and if you wanted to flip Lamar for Patrick Mahomes, I'm not going to fault you for it. Any and all thoughts are appreciated. Happy belated birthday. Really appreciate you, my guy, and excited to dive into this for you. So we are Kiara's Kingdom. We are the 6th team in the league analyzer. I will say it's an 8-team format where you only start 2 receivers in a flex. So realistically speaking, the depth just simply is not gonna matter much here. Like, even if you have an injury, you should be able to go to the waiver wire and you should be able to pick up somebody with not many problems. Looking at what we have at quarterback, we started Matthew Stafford this week, which obviously, hindsight being 2020, with Lamar Jackson getting injured, turned out to not be the best move. I'm sorry, with Puka Nacua getting injured. But if you wanted to go through and if you wanted to instead like play a different quarterback in week 8, you could just cut Stafford and pick up Jared Goff. No harm, no foul. Now, I would, before this game tonight, because it should be just a free agent ad to pick up Kyle Pitts, depending on how your league is set up. I would go ahead and I would probably cut Mark Andrews and pick up Kyle Pitts. That's a free move that you can make. Also, before the game tonight, I would cut Luke McCaffrey and pick up Keon Coleman. And then on waivers this week, I would be looking to cut Isaiah Pacheco and pick up Kamani Vidal. And I would say running back is going to be the biggest need for your team. And your team at this point being 2-4, like the team in my league that's 2-4 just lost Puka Nacua. And they've already thrown Puka on the trade block, and they're already sending me offers and trying to get Puka off their roster. So a 2-4 team, I would be interested in trying to see what kind of value you could get for Puka Nacua. If you wanted to try to send Puka and Travis Etienne to go and get to one of the true elite running backs like McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, I think that'd make a lot of sense on a team with a losing record like this. And I think that obviously it's too late to sell Rashee Rice. Rice is back now. Like, there'd be no reason to. Devontae Adams looks like he's going to be crushing right now with no Puka. And we really care about the short-term upside here. But yeah, like if you could make a deal where we send Puka and ETN and go ahead and get Bijan Robinson, I think on a 2-4 roster, that'd make a ton of sense. Especially in an 8-team league like this, where with the open roster spots, you can go pick up exciting plays like Kamani Vidal. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, I would drop McCaffrey, drop Andrews, drop Stafford, pick up Keon Coleman, Kamani Vidal, Kyle Pitts. I'm sorry. Yeah. Drop Andrews, pick up Pitts. Drop Stafford, pick up Goff. Drop McCaffrey, pick up Keon Coleman. Drop Pacheco, pick up Kamani Vidal. And then I'd try to send Puka and a running back to go and get somebody like Bijan, especially if you could get Bijan since he's already through his bye week. Ultimately, you're going to get at least like 2 more games played from Bijan Robinson rest of season, not including tonight, in comparison to Puka Nacua. And that may be the difference for this 2-4 team to actually get into the playoffs. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way, my friend. Now, let's move this over to our next question. This is Jay Lamsters, where we're trading Chris Olave and Devonta Smith for Rico Dowdle, Malik Washington, and Dallas Goedert. I would rather have Olave and Devonta Smith, unless you think that Chuba Hubbard is literally nothing rest of season. If Hubbard was out for the year, give me the Rico Dowdle side. But my concern is Hubbard comes in and turns this into a running back by committee, similar to what we have with like the Seattle Seahawks. Okay. Now, Hernando with our next question. Trading Judkins and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for JSN and Dallas Goedert. I think in a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format where the depth isn't going to be super important, yeah, I'm going to go get the best player. I'm going to go get JSN, especially knowing that we are looking pretty damn good at RB. And yeah, depth's not going to matter too much in this league. So go and get my new wide receiver 1 rest of season with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like, where is he in points per game? He's the wide receiver 2 in points per game, and he's fully healthy at this point. Okay. Now, Wise overcoat, quarterback, give me May over Lawrence. Flex, we're going to take Stephon Diggs. Now, let's move this over to our next one. Tire Drive, trading Pearsall, Quentin Johnston, and Darren Waller for CeeDee Lamb. This is CeeDee Lamb, and it is not even remotely close. Not even close. Even if CeeDee Lamb were to miss this next week, I'd still prefer Lamb there. Now, Webster trading Herbert, Kamani Vidal, and T. Higgins for Lamar Jackson. This is Lamar Jackson. I think, obviously, you still have to have Lamar go through the week 7 bye, but Justin Herbert still has to go through his bye week, right? So I think you probably have the same amount of games played from Herbert and Lamar Jackson rest of season. And I still expect Lamar to be just a true elite level name. Okay. And I don't know if T. Higgins is startable. Brunson says, do we get free questions for signing up for the monthly Mother Flocker? No, sir. On the subscribe page, it should show what you get. And the only way to get free questions will be either to sign up to the season pass with code FLOCK, and then you'll get free questions that you can send to me on the live streams, or sign up as an annual Mother Flocker with code FLOCK. Okay. But let's look at this for Spiteful Goats. Give me, I'm going to be honest with you. I know it took us a little bit of time, but we just went ahead and we realized, oh crap, I need to turn off start sit questions on the site because I do not know any of the matchups yet. But let's see who these guys are playing. Love is going to be playing the Arizona Cardinals this next week. Herbert is going to be playing the Indianapolis Colts. I'd imagine that game has a crazy high over-under, so I'd probably tell you to go Herbert. But if I'm answering a start-sit question this early, just know this is very much subject to change. Very, very, very much subject to change. Okay. And then running back, James Cook will be on bye this next week. Marion Hampton will be out. Also, you won't have Bucky Irving, so I'll be planning on playing Rashad White. Wide receiver, you plan on Cortland Sutton more likely than not. And then for the flex, what's the ETN matchup? Against the Rams with no Puka. Judkins versus Miami. You may go Judkins over ETN against Miami because this game could actually be close for him. Okay. Now, let's look at this for Mysterious Director. It's trading Jacobs for Ginty and Judkins. It is a league in which the depth actually does matter. So I understand us wanting to go through and make a trade like this. I would probably rather have Jacobs, though. Right now, we have Javonte as our RB2. We have Diggs, Pittman, Nico, Keenan, Evans. So we have plenty of depth. I would say I'm going to hold on to Josh Jacobs, especially with Jacobs already going through his bye. And I am biased because Josh Jacobs is on my own team, but I think I'd prefer Jacobs there. Now, moving over to our next question. This is going to be from Tommy D, trading Chase Brown for Trevion Henderson. Both running backs are unusable right now. Could you tell me a story in which all of a sudden Trevion Henderson becomes usable? Yes, you can. Can you tell me a story in which all of a sudden Chase Brown does? It would be a story that I'm having a hard time buying. So for me, realistically, I probably just go ahead and I probably just take Trevion Henderson. I think you have a higher ceiling at this point. Now, Creamy Baby says 2 wide receiver, 1 running back, double flex league. Okay. We traded Pickens and Worthy for Rice and Golden before week 6. I'd rather have Rice over Pickens rest of season. I'd rather have Worthy over Golden. Egbuka and Bucky injuries are kind of scary. Do you think I just let it ride for a couple weeks and get healthy? It's going to matter what your record is. Okay, here's the thing, man. You are 4-1. So regardless of if you won or lost this week, we're either sitting at 5-1 or we are sitting at 4-2. But kind of regardless, you can afford to think long-term upside here. We're not necessarily just thinking about points right now. So going ahead and looking at a team that's dealing with injuries, I would say that the majority of the time, what I would probably be wanting to do is I'd probably be wanting to ride out the injuries and assume that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Now, looking at our team, we have Hurts and Drake May. With this league mattering your wide receiver depth, what I would strongly consider is I would consider going through and actually looking to trade Drake May for a wide receiver starter, because effectively in this kind of league with the Bucky injury, we should bank on us needing to go through and us needing to start like 4 wide receivers a week. And we have the Egbuka injury, so we're going to start Rice, Debo, Golden, and then we have like Ashton, Ginty, and then I guess you could say Zach Charbonnet in our other starting spot. So the move that I would want to make would be extremely simple. It would just be, can we sell Drake May and pick up a wide receiver starter? It doesn't have to be a phenomenal player. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I would love it. And Drake May looks great. So it wouldn't be the most surprising thing if you could get a really good price tag for him. Then going over and looking at what we have when it comes to tight end, we have the elite tight end with Trey McBride. So, I mean, if Hunter Henry was somebody we could sell, then obviously we would, but that's going to be a much easier thing to say than to actually do. Then going over and looking at what we have with trades beyond that or waiver wire pickups. If I would cut Luther Burden, I'd pick up Bam Knight. I mean, unless Luther Burden gives you some massive, massive breakout tonight. But if you can go and pick up Bam, I think that actually does give you a startable player that you can put in your flex. And then I'm trying to think what you could do beyond that. I think that's probably going to be it. I would cut Burden. I'd pick up Bam. I would try to sell Drake May for a startable wide receiver so we have some depth there when the depth's actually going to matter with these injuries. But you're a good enough team where we can just kind of roll with the punches and we can just assume that we are good to go after this. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way. I'm going to go ahead and send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you want me to take a look at. I'd be super happy to check it out for you, my friend. But yeah, obviously running back depth in a league like that's not going to matter much. Now, Hurts for Prez trading Dowdle for A.J. Brown. I have Dowdle at 59 in my rest of season rankings, and I have A.J. Brown at 54. My concern with Dowdle, again, is that Chuba Hubbard comes in, and regardless of who's the technical starter, who's the technical backup, they turn it into a running back by committee similar to the Seattle Seahawks, where neither guy is viable. But can y'all please spam the chats? What player would you rather have rest of season? Would you rather have Rico Dowdle or A.J. Brown? Rico Dowdle or A.J. Brown? Let's see. When's the last time A.J. Brown had a 30-point performance? Which Dowdle just had back-to-back. Last time A.J. Brown had a 30-point performance was week 8 of 2023. So 2 years ago. We got Rico, Brown, Dowdle, Brown, Rico, Brown, Brown. It looks like it's split 50-50 in the chat. And for me, I have them ranked relatively close. So I think it's a fair deal, and I think it's going to be down to your personal preference. I do have A.J. Brown slightly ahead of Rico Dowdle because, again, I am concerned that not Chuba Hubbard takes over and just moves Rico Dowdle straight to being a backup running back again, but instead that they turn it into a committee. Okay. So, well, I don't think that there's a clear winner here. Now, TC trading Marv for Myers and May. I have Marv at wide receiver 29 rest of season, Myers at wide receiver 38. We're starting Justin Herbert here in the short term. All right, I'm okay with you doing this if you want. Like, do you need Marv? It's a league in which you start up to 4 wide receivers weekly. We have 3 solid names. Running back depth's not crazy good. So here's the thing. If you view Drake May inside the same tier, if you view Drake May as the next Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, then it's the Drake May side here easily. If you think that May's in a similar tier to Justin Herbert, then you lose. So it comes down to your view of Drake May. Now, Pyro with our next one. We're trading Brian Robinson, JCM, Devontae Adams for Gainwell, Jefferson, Ridley. So Gainwell and Ridley are almost zeros. Brian Robinson's a zero. Whatever they have JCM and Devontae Adams or Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson by a mile. So we'll go ahead and we will take the Justin Jefferson side. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next one. This is going to be from Diesel. Okay. Trading Derrick Henry, Wan'Dale Robinson, George Pickens for Barkley, Marv, and Tet. Henry to Barkley, clear upgrade. Wan'Dale to Marv, clear upgrade. Pickens to Tet, clear downgrade. I think you're getting the best player. 10 team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. I think that this is a fair deal. For me, I think Saquon Barkley is the best player in it. I know, obviously, George Pickens has been much better than Saquon Barkley so far this season. But realistically, when CeeDee Lamb comes back, I think I'd still rather have Barkley over him. And then hopefully this Eagles offensive line can improve. Now, Ooga Booga says 12 team, 2-4. Am I selling too low? The other team is 5-1. Egbuka to Javonte. Give me Javonte. Hampton to Quentin Johnston. Lateral move up to you. 2-4. You got to get Javonte and Quentin Johnston. Like, realistically, it doesn't matter if you look back and you go, crap, It's week 12, and Hampton and Igbuka are way better than Javonte and the Big Q. Like, if you're in week 12 and you're sitting at 4-8, your season's done. It doesn't matter. Bitter Hornet, always happy to see it. Trading Woody Marks and Matthew Golden for Wandale. I'd probably rather have Woody Marks and Matthew Golden. I don't view Wandale Robinson as like some can't miss, must start wide receiver every single week going into the future. Okay. Now, Bitter Hornet says Woody Marks, JMO for Brian Thomas. I would much prefer this deal for Brian Thomas if you were trading Woody Marks away. I think this would be the better deal. Okay, let me refresh this. Now, BRWDIS is trading Ladd for Trevion Henderson. For me, I have Ladd McConkey ranked over Henderson. Whether it's Dynasty or Redraft League, frankly, I don't think it matters. Like, I loved Henderson as a prospect, but for us to continue to get this Ramadre usage, and we're in week 7 at this point, it is just tough to get there. Okay. Now, Bitter Hornet trading Chase Brown, Woody Marks, JMO for George Pickens. Yeah, for me, this is going to be Pickens, and I don't even think it's remotely close, but I don't think your league mate would accept this, to be honest. Kit Pat says 4-2. Wonder if I should down tier somewhere for running back depth. I would say I would do this trade in a heartbeat, but realistically, I don't know if your league mate's going to view Trey McBride as an up tier from Javonte Williams. Like, for me, I have Trey McBride ranked at 20th overall rest of season, and I have Javonte ranked at 18th. There's not really a gap between these players for me. Now, again, like, it's up to you. I would definitely very clearly rather have George Kittle over Trevion Henderson, so I think you're winning this deal. And if you're saying that, like, Henderson's somebody that we would possibly have to rely on starting right now, then yeah, I mean, this makes a ton of sense for us to go out there and trade for Javonte, who's an auto start every week. Hunt says, not sure what to do with Puka and the Garrett Wilson injury plus weak RBs. So we have Ginty to Jacobs clear upgrade, Garrett Wilson and Nico Collins clear upgrade, and you got to pay Devonta Smith to do it. So, I mean, if you could make this move, let's go for it. I would be surprised if your league mate would accept it. It may be a tough spot and trying to get them to, but I mean, you can go for it. You can try your best, my friend. And we got to sign out and sign back in to keep this thing going. Okay. And we only have an hour until kickoff. God, we got the early kickoff today. I'm going to go get a haircut today. I'm going to be looking nice and good for y'all. Getting a haircut, watching the game. Hunt says, not sure what to do. Okay, we already talked about this. I mean, if you could make this flip, you would in a heartbeat. Now, E.V. Freeman trading Bucky and Gibbs for Bijan Robinson. Okay. It is a 10-team format. You're getting an extra game out of Bijan Robinson in comparison to what you would with Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, Bucky Irving is still a top-level player that you have for the long run. Don't get me wrong here. This team, the depth isn't incredible. Because you have the Marv injury, I don't know if I love making this, to be honest. I think I probably go with the Gibbs and Bucky side, but I understand the appeal for Bijan Robinson if you had a juggernaut roster in a 10-team league. But you probably opt to go with Bucky Irving and Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, will clap thy cheeks. It's trading Dowdle and Ferg for J.K. Dobbins and Quentin Johnston. So Ferg to Quentin Johnston, downgrade. Dowdle to Dobbins, downgrade in my opinion. I mean, I really hope that Quentin Johnston comes back healthy and he makes this a deal where I would rather have the big Q side. It would really help my best ball teams. Like my best ball teams did not do well this week on Underdog with no Quentin Johnston. I am very much needing him now that Trey Benson is out for an extended period of time. But yeah, I think you'd rather have Jake Ferg there even with Lamb coming back. Now, Willits is trading Quinshon Judkins and Puka Nacua for Nico Collins and Rashee Rice. So Puka down tier to Nico, Judkins up tier to Rice. How down? I can't see your team. I would say the Puka side probably still holds more value, but realistically, I understand making this trade if you're in a spot where it's like, man, I'm 1-5. I just need somebody here. But I'll probably go with the Judkins and Puka side. But if you have a garbage record, I understand you making that move. Now, W. French is trading Pickens for Derrick Henry. I have Pickens ranked just a few spots ahead of him. Looking at your team, you're fine at running back. You're fine at wide receiver as well. So I think that this is going to be a personal preference type deal for you. Now, realistically, I understand you wanting to make this pivot, knowing that you're about to get CeeDee Lamb back while at the same time Lamar Jackson's about to come back for Baltimore and Derrick Henry's going to be in a much better spot. But I think this is a personal preference type trade. If you were going to have Lamar out forever and if you were going to have CeeDee Lamb out forever, then in that scenario, it would be George Pickens and it wouldn't be remotely close. Now, our next question is coming out from Rye3. Says, going to be 2-4 right now. Traded Dobbins for Jamar. Okay, so we should be at the top of this league with the league analyzer. There's no way we're not. Do I need to make a trade to upgrade quarterback? So here's the thing. It's a 12-team start 8 format. So the skill positional depth's going to matter where quarterback's not the end-all be-all for your team. We are second in the league analyzer in value at this point. I think a big reason is we made that Jamar deal and we just won this past week as well. Looking at the setup that we have at this point, let me move over so we can see the waiver wire names. The names on the waiver wire, Eligeo Manor, Harold Fannin, Darnell Mooney. So your league mates know what they're doing, right? The waiver wire isn't loaded up with phenomenal plays. Quarterback, we have Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray. So realistically, we're just kind of playing Dak here every single week, given the fact that Kyler's injured and Kyler's not super exciting in the first place. Going over and looking at what we have with the options on waivers, like I would say Michael Penix, if he looks very good tonight against the Bills, maybe you consider going through and maybe you consider cutting Kyler in favor of Michael Penix. Going over to running back, you have Bijan, Kenneth Walker. We have the depth of Bam Knight, Michael Carter. So running back 2 is probably the biggest weakness on this team. It's a start 8 format. So you can start 4 wide receivers weekly. We're 2-4. What I think you would be needing to look at with this team, at least in my opinion, is I think you'd be needing to look at us trading Marvin Harrison to go and get somebody viable right now. Like, realistically, 2-4 team, we should be trying to do anything that we can to just win right this second. Marvin Harrison about to miss time. If you could send Marv and Kenneth Walker and go get a solid RB2, you have plenty of wide receiver depth. We're hoping Pearsall's back this week. With an open roster spot, I'd probably pick up either Darnell Mooney, like Ailman, or you could go for Harold Fannin. I think Harold Fannin is probably the best name available to you here. But again, it's maybe a little bit of a tough spot because you have McBride that we can start every single week regardless of the matchup. So I like your team. I just think that we need to get some points here in the short term. And given the injuries that we have at wide receiver, that's going to be difficult. So selling Pearsall or selling Marvin Harrison in a 2-for-1 deal with Kenneth Walker to go get a viable RB2, in my opinion, is the best move that you can make. And then let me see if there's anything else that we could talk about here. No, your league mates know what they're doing off waivers. I mean, I would still go out there and like drop Brian Robinson and pick up Harold Fannin with the Njoku injury, and hoping that you're really able to like play Harold Fannin. I'm sorry, not even play him in the flex, but you're hoping that he has a couple top end weeks and you can actually trade him for an upgrade in the flex at another position. But I think that's all I have for you, and I really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. But the waiver wire is just very limited. I think you have to sell an injured wide receiver with Kenneth Walker to get the best running back that you possibly can. But let me go ahead and send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with. But let me move this over to our next question. It's going to be from Daddy Geis. This is a trade question where it looks like we didn't put anything on the other side. So let me send you over a free trade question voucher so you can resubmit that, my friend. And I'd be happy to take a look at it when you fill it out again. But it looks like we just hit 500 likes on the stream. So let me go ahead and let me give out some more free questions in the chat. Again, to get free questions, it's stupid simple. All you got to do is go down, drop a like on the live stream to qualify to win them, and then drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. That way, if you do win them, I know who to send them over to. And also, if you wanted to get guaranteed free questions to these live streams, I'm going to be live streaming every single day answering your questions. You can always do so by taking advantage of the offer that we have on Underdog Fantasy, where if you go over to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, you will get the best offer that they've done in the 5 years I've been working with them. Like, Underdog has been a top of the sports category on the App Store pretty much all football season because the new promos that they are running are crazy. Where if you sign up with code FLOCK, you're going to get $100 added to your account after you play your first 5. And on top of that, for the game tonight, you'll be getting a free Jaden Daniels pick. Higher, lower, half a total yard with code FLOCK as well. Plus, you'll be getting free questions that you can ask in these live streams. And I'm live streaming every single day until Christmas. But Underdog Fantasy is available in almost every single state. And you can find that link in the live chat. And you can find that link in the description. But let me go ahead and let's send out some free questions. This free question is going to be going to Big Woolly's OBC. Big Woolly OBC. Just found you. Just sent you over that free trade question. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream, my friend. Let me send something out to JD Wood as well. JD Wood. Just found you and just sent you over a free trade question. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream. Now let's check this team out for Chebes. Says Rashid coming back this week, and I'm thinking about moving a couple pieces to get a big upgrade at tight end or quarterback to round things out. Thoughts on potential moves? So I'll say in general, the elite quarterback and the elite tight ends, they aren't going to matter as much with these league settings just because it is a spot in which you are starting a total of 8 players weekly. So quarterback and tight end are going to make up just a smaller percentage of our starting lineup output. In terms of where we are sitting with the league analyzer, though, it does look like you have the number 1 team in this league. You are sitting at 3-2, at least coming into this game. You had the JSN blow up, the Sutton dud. Devon Achane performed well. I mean, either you're 3-3 or 4-2. Obviously, it'd be a lot better to be 4-2 than 3-3. Now, moving over to quarterback, we are currently sitting with Caleb Williams and Bo Nix. So Caleb and Bo, we can play the matchups between these two QBs going into the future. I would still rather have both of them over Jackson Dart, even though obviously Dart looks interesting given what you have when it comes to the rushing upside. I just think that the offense is going to be much worse than Chicago and much worse than Denver rest of season due to the Malik injury. Now, going over to running back, we have Devon Achane as an anchor RB1. We have Etienne RB2, Kamara RB3, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt RB4. So we have plenty of running back depth. I would cut Ollie Gordon and pick up Bam Knight. I would cut Alec Ayomanor and I would pick up Harold Fannin, and I would cut David Njoku and pick up TJ Hawkinson. And I think that's the way to round out this bench. I would say that the number 1 pickup priority would be Harold Fannin with the David Njoku injury. And then wide receiver, we have the 3 elite names with JSN, Nico, and Rice. And then we have Sutton wide receiver 4. So I agree with you. You can afford to go through and you can afford to make a play to upgrade QB. Now, in terms of how we are wanting to do that, I would try to be selling a running back specifically. Let's go ahead and let's look at the teams in your league that are maybe desperate at running back. It's a 12-team format. There should be some pretty ugly teams at RB with the injuries. Like this team lost Trey Benson and they lost Amari and Hampton. So right now they're starting Jordan Mason and RJ Harvey. This week, maybe they started freaking RJ Harvey and Blake Corum. Now, obviously, they don't have the top level quarterback, but if you're 4-2, maybe trading for Brock Bowers could make some sense. Sending an offer over of Travis Etienne for Bowers. Sending an offer over of Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt for Bowers. Alvin Kamara for Bowers. Going over to this roster here, they're okay at running back. Obviously, they're not great, but they're going to be just fine. Then this team here, the ice cream team, they have enough running back starters. They don't have a top end quarterback. This team is Chase Brown, RB2, Tyler Algier, RB3. Maybe there's a world in which we can get to Trey McBride. I mean, I would offer them Travis Etienne and David Njoku and see if we can get to McBride. Much easier said than done, but I'm sending the offer. This team has Barkley, Montgomery, Aaron Jones. But they also have Lamar Jackson. So, I mean, if you could go through and if you could send them the combo of like Devon Achane and, I'm sorry, not Devon Achane, Travis Etienne and Caleb Williams, and go ahead and get Lamar, I would absolutely love that. This team has the Bucky injury. They have the Rashad White fill-in, though. They have Mahomes. If you wanted to offer them Travis Etienne and Caleb to try to get to Mahomes, Like, I don't want to sell the wide receivers just because obviously you're going to have a hard time selling Sutton based off what he just did this past week. And the top 3 guys are just going to be such strong options. I don't really have much interest in moving off of them. But I think that's all I have for you. Again, cut Gordon, cut Ao Manor, cut Njoku, pick up Bam Knight, Harold Fannin, T.J. Hawkinson. Try to sell one of those running backs in a 2-for-1 deal, either to get the elite QB or the elite tight end. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. And let me go ahead and send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with. Now let's move this next question over to Am Hofma, where we are selling Higgins and Nico for CeeDee Lamb. I'd rather have Lamb over Nico. Higgins is almost a 0 for me. So if it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league where you're loaded with depth, I'm completely fine with you making this move. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next one. It's going to be Heavenly Section, trading Jacobs and Pickens for Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm definitely not doing this because for me, I have Jacobs and Gibbs ranked back-to-back at this point. Like Josh Jacobs has already gone through his bye week, so you're going to get an extra game out of him. He's averaging about 21 points per game. Jahmyr Gibbs hasn't gone through the bye, and he's averaging about 17 points per game. So I don't know why we would pivot from, add Pickens to Jacobs to pivot over to Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, Mandude09 says a 14-teamer with tight end premium, super flex, and 7 bench spots. So in general, obviously 12-team super flex league, quarterbacks are tough to come by. But if you just do the simple math of the supply and demand of a 14-team super flex league, quarterbacks are going to be impossible to get. Now, we are sure bets. We are the number 3 team according to the league analyzer. We have Jalen Hurts and Bryce Young, so we have 2 startable QBs. Going over and looking at the options on the waiver wire, there just simply isn't anybody. I mean, I would go ahead and, if possible, I would cut Samaje Perine and pick up Bam Knight at running back. And then we'll have Javonte RB1 in a 14-team format. Solid. Kenneth Walker RB2 in a 14-team league is okay. It's not great. Chase Brown is an RB3 in a 14-team format. Great. Pollard RB4 in a 14-team format. Great. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Pickens as 2 quality wide receivers we can start. Man, dude, are you in this live stream right now? But let me know, Mando, if you're in this live stream, because the league analyzer is saying this is also a non-PPR format. Because if it's a non-PPR format, generally we'd be wanting to stick a running back in that flex. And yeah, I'm sorry we haven't done the dedicated Dynasty live stream. We've just been looking at the Dynasty teams in these live streams. But if this is a non-PPR format, then in reality, I really want to leave this as is because I would rather have the running back depth pieces in that flex spot as opposed to a wide receiver depth piece. I'll say in terms of additional waiver wire swaps, I'm probably going to be cutting AJ Barner and instead looking over to pick up Gadsden at tight ends. the snap rate's just been consistently going higher, higher, and higher. And he's finally had 8 targets in a game, 68 receiving yards, both career highs. Big tight end, good offense, touchdown upside. So I'd cut Barner. I'd pick up Gadsden. I'd cut P. Ryan. I'd pick up Bam Knight. I would definitely prioritize cutting P. Ryan, picking up Bam Knight. And then outside of that, I mean, you have a solid team, right? We are either 5-1 at this point, or we're going to be 4-2, but I'm assuming that we're 5-1 considering the Pickens blow up. Kraft just scored the touchdown, and Jalen Hurts and Bryce Young both had fine days, especially in a 14 team or so. I think that you have a strong team. I would just go ahead and make those waiver wire pivots. And if it was a full PPR league, then maybe at that point, you could look at potentially selling Tony Pollard with the wide receivers, such as Matthew Golden, to try to go get a better wide receiver for your flex. But in a non-PPR league instead, we would probably just be looking to keep this as is. But let's move over to our next question. And this is going to be out from Jimmy Olsen. Says, feel weak at wide receiver. Who would be good trade targets? We're trading Myers and Hubbard for DK Metcalf. Metcalf coming off some big touchdowns. I think that would be not the best. And I mean, it's going to be so difficult for you to sell Hubbard and Myers. Realistically, looking at your running back room, you have the running back depth that you can sell someone. But I'm going to be honest with you, Chief. I think you're going to have to sell somebody that people are actually willing to pay for and somebody that people could talk themselves into. There's no world in which anybody is going, yippee, I get to trade for Chuba Hubbard. I get to trade for Jacoby Myers. I don't know if you're going to get a single response if you try to send this offer out. I think we'll see what Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt does, but maybe you look at throwing JCM and Jacoby Myers together to get a wide receiver upgrade that way. But obviously we'll see what he does in the game tonight. But I mean, yeah, I think you would be looking at like the low end wide receiver 2s in our rankings if you were making this package. But good luck, my friend. Good luck. Okay. Yeah, I just don't know who's getting excited about trade for Hubbard and Jacoby Myers. Okay, let me filter out the team reviews. And let's make sure we can answer the start set questions. I'm sorry, the quick trade questions before kickoff here. This is Final Fear trading Daniel Jones, Jalen Warren, Jordan Mason for Lamar and DeAndre Swift. Mason to Swift, lateral move. A Daniel Jones and Jalen Warren for Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, not close. We'll take the Lamar side. Now, G-Man Plant trading Barkley and Mike Evans for Bijan and Josh Downs. I think Bijan's by far and away the best player in this deal. I say this as somebody that has Bijan Robinson. I'm sorry, that has Barkley on their team. But the points per game gap between them is absolutely massive at the moment. And you're getting Bijan Robinson through the bye as well. Now, Salvador trading White and Kyron for Jahmyr Gibbs. 10-team format, I'm fine with us making this move considering the fact that we have the depth. I don't have Kyron too far off with Gibbs in our rest of season rankings, though. I mean, Gibbs has been very disappointing, just not getting the same level receiving involvement. Now, A-Rod trading Bam Knight, Jordan Mason, Terry McLaurin, Xavier Worthy for Nico Collins. So you're trading like dimes and quarters for $1 here. Yes, I would go ahead and I'd make this move. You get Nico. Okay. Now, like a good neighbors, trading James Cook, Xavier Worthy for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Zay Flowers. So James Cook to Amon-Ra St. Brown, downgrade in my opinion. Worthy versus Flowers, give me Flowers, but they're not that far off. I think it's up to you, but I mean, how bad do you need a receiver? We're starting Worthy, Michael Pittman at the moment. Running back, we have CMC and James Cook. You're just going to have a massive hole at running back after this. I'd probably opt to keep the best player with James Cook. Beto, always happy to see you. Let me make sure that you have free questions, my guy. Says, hope all is well. I love Warren, but do you like this deal for me? Gibbs is scaring me. Completely understand Gibbs scaring you. I would say that the points per game gap between Tyler Warren and Tucker Kraft rest of season is probably going to be larger, though, than the points per game gap between Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. So I would still hold on to the Jahmyr Gibbs side. It's not a bad deal. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, though, especially knowing that Bijan and Tucker Kraft have already gone through their bye. And again, Gibbs is only averaging about 17 points per game at this point. Okay. Now let's move over to our next one. This is going to be C-Jokes trading Barkley, Chase, Taylor for Achane, Igbuka, and Goddard. Barkley to Achane, upgrade. Chase to Igbuka, massive downgrade. Mason Taylor to Dallas Goedert, upgrade. Wide receiver, we have JSN, Tet, Debo. So it's a fair deal, don't get me wrong. I do think that this is going to be up to you. If you were like 5-0, 4-1, I understand making the play and getting Igbuka. But like the thing is, even when Igbuka comes back from his injury, all of a sudden you'll be in a spot where like you're getting added on competition from both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin all of a sudden. Okay. Now, Will Clap Thy Cheeks says, okay, let's try this again. If you look at my team, I have Bowers and Marv was my wide receiver too. So if you have Bowers and Marv, running back, you have, but again, now you have like, who are you starting at running back? I guess actually you have Dobbins. Never mind. So it's the flip from Ferg to Quentin Johnson. I think you could make an argument for it if Quentin Johnston's back this week, but I don't know if we want to be paying this price on Quentin Johnston with no guarantee of him coming back. I mean, obviously he's going to eventually be back, but we don't exactly know when. So I'll send you over some free questions, my guy. But if Quentin Johnston's back this week, like, let's run it. But if the big Q's not back for another week or two, and then Marv comes back in another week or two, it's like, oh, okay, well, we didn't do much at wide receiver. But we'll see. Okay. And let me refresh this. See if we have any more. Now, Jay Soyce trading Puka for Bijan. I would rather have Bijan here, and I don't even think it's remotely close. Obviously, I had Puka Nacua a tier ahead of Bijan Robinson before the injury, but I mean, now at this point, like, you're just offloading so much risk, especially knowing that Bijan's already through the bye. JD Wood trading Jefferson, Judkins, and Pickens. Sorry, trading Jefferson for Judkins and Pickens. How bad do you need a running back? We have Taylor, JCM, Rashad White. Here's what I do for you. I would say that I'm going to probably hold on to Jefferson unless Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt face plants. And if Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt face plants, then at that point, you can go ahead and you can make this trade to get Judkins. But I do think when CeeDee Lamb comes back, you will have Jefferson in a different tier. But it looks like we have kickoff in about 8 minutes. So I want to make sure that we're in a good spot to get this going. But anyway, if you wanted to check out these picks on Underdog Fantasy, it's not too late. Underdog is still running the best promo that they have in the 5 years I've been working with them. They've pretty much been at the top of the App Store all football season with how good this new user offer is. It's after you use code FLOCK and play your first $5, you're going to get $100 added to your account. Plus, you'll get a free gimme Jaden Daniels pick, higher, lower, half a total yard. Underdog Fantasy is available in almost every single state. Using code FLOCK will get you both of those free promos. And on top of it, it will get you free questions that you can ask in the live streams that I'm going to be live streaming every single day until Christmas, answering your fantasy football questions. And last but not least, if you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have no idea who would be watching this and not already subscribed, but we are closing in on 300,000 subscribers. It's going to be very close on if we can get there or not, but would be super, super cool if we could. I'll be live after the games tonight talking about everything that happened, but I really appreciate you and really hope I get to see you out